In this week's episode, I talk about the outlook for 2016, I talk about sex, and we ask the question, have you become too big for your boots? Hi and welcome to episode 23 of Business Greenhouse TV. Loving being back. Got some great stuff to talk to you about today. Tomorrow, got a big day in Sydney coming up. We've got so many conferences, so many events. Ahead of us is a massively busy season. I don't know if you've heard, but we've got a series of seminars coming up called the Kingdom Business Summit. Most of you are probably registered, I'm sure, but if you haven't, I'm going to be giving 2 whole days of high energy, high impact training for free. I'm just going to come and bring my best stuff so that we can grow your business. Now, literally, we are days away. Like within a week, some of the places will be shut, no more regios. We're already nearly at capacity with this close. So if you haven't registered and you plan on coming and you want 2 days of highly practical training, then make sure you register. Go to kingdombusiness.com.au for more information. If you can make it, I'd love to see you there. If you've already registered, it's going to be a ripper 2 days. Let's get into today's show. Michelle, what is our first question?
Cecil Benjamin asks, what do you think about market expectations for 2016 for small business in Australia? How would a Christian perspective be different?
Cecil Benjamin, let me give you a shout out. I don't think it's the first time you've been on the show, so well done. Running like a bit of coaching for not-for-profits, mostly in third world, super niche, and certainly helping them out where help is needed. So, what's my take on the the economic climate or the prospects for business in Australia in 2016? I think it's universal. So I'm going to answer this for Australia, but it doesn't matter whether you're watching from New Zealand or whether you're in Americas or in the UK or Europe. Like my answer is going to be exactly the same, because the second part of your question is it different from a Christian perspective? Yes. Let me explain that for you. So let's take a practical story time. There are things that we can do that outperform any market forces that come against us, okay? So 2008, we had this thing called the GFC, pretty dark days, 2008, 2009, 2010, started to get a bit better around 11, 12, 13, it was fine again, that sort of thing, okay? So that's a real thing that we had. But our business, our business doubled in 08, doubled in 09, doubled in 10 again, doubled in 11. Why would that be the case if it was bad out there? Okay, so the market would tell you, the newspapers would tell you that it's tough, but the truth is, I added to my personal asset base every single month, from 2008 to now. I haven't missed a month of building my own personal asset base. Every single month, haven't missed one. How does that happen if it's so bad out there? I've got a client who was, they're running a retail store, and they called me in 2009, and they said, retail's down, it's tough, we've got to cut back. And we just went through a process of adding an upsell, adding some additional products to sales. We trained the sales team how to be better salespeople, and they were much better off after about 6 months in 2009. When everybody else was suffering, they were having their record months. I worked in a construction with glazing company who started their business in 2007, or they bought the business in 2007. GFC and construction in 2008. They're on the Gold Coast. You'd think all signs are bad. They doubled in the first year, doubled in the second year. They went from sort of doing 800 grand to 4 to 5 million during the GFC. All that to say that, what's the prospects for small business in 2016? Fantastic, if you do the work. Your business success is not dependent on the market. It's dependent on working hard, upselling, skilling yourself, asking for more sales, converting better, having a better website, having better products, product knowledge, better service for your clients, better follow-up system, better referral program. That is if that's 100, the market is 1. That's where you make your money. And it doesn't matter what's happening in the market. You can always become a better salesperson. You can always make more money. You can always get more sales, okay? You can always add another product line into your business to make additional revenue. So it doesn't really matter what happens. My whole real answer is 2016 in Australia is going to be sensational for everybody. But even if it wasn't, even if I was sitting here in 2008 and we just had the GFC, my answer would be, it's awesome if you choose it to be, because our success is not predicated on the government or the economy, it's just us, the stuff that we can control. And you can control how to do more, how to be more. So come back to your second part of your question is a Christian perspective different? Yes, because as cliche as it is, we're not part of this economy. Well, we are if we don't think it through, but we don't have to be part of this economy. We have a God that wants to do the intrinsic. We want a God that wants to build his kingdom. We have a God that can come and do things in your life and bring opportunities your way and bring you opportunities to learn and to get more customers. And that is, that's outside of the tangible. So those two things together, you working hard, learning more, doing more, upskilling, becoming a better salesperson, average dollar sale increases, getting customers to come back, increasing your margins, the practical, plus him wanting to co-labor with you to create a profitable business, together means that you will have a massively profitable business despite what's happening in the market. So I think 2016 is going to be a ripper year. There's no reason why it won't be. But even if it isn't, even if there's a catastrophe coming, then you can still have a ripper year, but it falls to you to do the work. Thanks, Cecil. Solid question. Michelle, what's question number 2?
Lloyd Maloney asks, I understand your wife Kimberly works actively in business. Is it under Business Greenhouse or is it her own passion/desire and direction? If a couple are both gifted and passionate about business and both start 2 separate businesses in completely different fields, do you believe this can create division? How do you do it?
Lloyd Maloney from Maloney and Sons in Rockhampton. Okay, so Kimberly is not particularly active in Business Greenhouse at the moment. So we launched this business together. Like, we both felt God calling us to put this together. We both prayed, like we spent months. She's got a very good prophetic gift, so she was downloading parts of the puzzle. I had parts of the puzzle, and we put it together, and this is what we created. So she was very, very active in the prep for Business Greenhouse and in the first 12 months of Greenhouse. Then she was, we had our second child and she took a back seat, and now, bless her, spends, time with the kids, raising them, making them great people. And then I just kind of bring her back in as and when we need, right? So, for example, right now, with all the people that have registered for the summit, and if you're not coming, you should register. For all the people that are coming, we've called them all and just kind of introduced ourselves and said, g'day. Well, to get through that many phone calls, I brought her in for a few days and she's done that and so forth. So she's not active. However, she does have her own interest, very political actually. So I'm in the business world. She's very excited by the world of politics, which is interesting because they're quite removed. Okay, we get to have some interesting debates around home about stuff that's going on, in the political world and what our beliefs are and so forth. So that's where she is. To answer your question, do I think that if two, like a husband and wife, go and create 2 different businesses, can it cause division? Yes, most definitely. Is it always a bad idea? Not always. So what's the deciding factor between if 2 people go into business and chase their own thing and it works versus not works? Is a thing called boundaries. The thing that Kimberly and I had to do, and we found out the hard way, which is why I really wanted to take this question, because hopefully I can shortcut the process and the pain that you have to go through. It's a case of boundaries, which is never fun, because I had to give up some territory, Kimberly had to give up some territory, and we had to find this middle ground where we said, this is as much as I can commit to mine, this is as much as you can commit to yours, instead of just, willy-nilly going to do as much as we possibly wanted. So it's a case of boundaries. Sometimes it can work really well when 2 people go in a different direction. But most of the time, my own personal opinion is it will be destructive if you don't have boundaries. Because, there's so much pressure in today's society. There's so many demands on us as human beings with parents and school and kids and this and church and business. Like to have something else in there is usually enough to cause a wedge. And once you get one, like the minute husband and wife are slightly separated, and then like you can play it out practically. Like they start to have a little bit of an argument, a little bit of resentment comes in, the enemy gets in there, drives the wedge. Next minute they're not talking, drives a bit more of a wedge. Next minute they're not intimate. Yes, I went there, couples not intimate. Then the enemy gets on top of that, causes a bigger division. Next thing you know, and so that's what happens over time. And it's so subtle that it's very easy to miss it. So I think the only way is, like, first of all, make sure that you're solid enough that you can have 2 different passions and head in 2 different directions and still have boundaries. If you don't think you've got it, then in my experience, God very rarely gives a couple two different passions at the same time. I'm not going to say never, because God creates so many different types of people. But more often than not, he's not going to put a family under that much pressure. So quite often what he does is he sets seasons in place. So it might be a season for one, and then a season for the other, and then a season for one, and then a season for the other. Very rarely, due to the pressure, is God going to put a family under that much pressure to have two different ones. It can happen, it does happen, but I would say for the majority, it's a case of, maybe somebody's passion comes 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the line, and they have their season, and this person's passion comes back. That's the kind of boundary I think you need to be doing to get that. That's how you're going to get the best of it. Now, you've got to be praying together. No point in going in two different directions if you're not praying. Like, you guys need to be united if you're ever going to go. How do you get on the same page? Pray lots. Awesome question. Let's go to Word of the Week. All right, this week's Word of the Week. We're going to go somewhere you wouldn't normally hear about in business. We're going to go to the Beatitudes, the Beatitudes. Matthew 5:5. So come with me. So a little bit of context. This is where Jesus goes up onto the Sermon of the Mount. His disciples go with him when he sees the crowds, and he starts to teach his disciples. And many of them. I just want to pick on one. It starts, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted." And this is the one I want to pick up on. "Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth." Okay, I'm pretty keen for us collectively to inherit the earth. So what does it mean, blessed are the meek? So I looked up the word meek and had a bit of a look around. And so humble is another word for meek, okay? Gentleness of spirit is another way to say it. And basically, if you want like a long summary of the word meek, it's having the spiritual disposition of saying, Lord, you're the authority, you're sovereign, you're the one that controls everything. You can do what you want and manifest in my life, and I will happily let you into every area of my life to have your way. Okay, that's the expounded version on the word meek. So how do we take that and put it into a business context? So many entrepreneurs I meet, like along the journey. So they might, when they're a startup, they're all okay, but somewhere along the way, they become the boss. They're handing out all the orders. They're the ones that have all the knowledge. They're the ones getting things done. And what that leads to is an attitude of people not being teachable, not having the soft, malleable heart that God can work on, okay? You become the boss in every area, and you think you've got to keep the boss up. And the problem with that is it closes off hearing from God, learning from God, and having that teachable spirit. And it reminds me of the centurion. You remember the centurion? Centurion comes to Jesus and says, I'm a man under authority. I'm a man of authority. I say to one, go, and he goes. I say to one, come, and he comes. But he said, I'm a man under authority. I have people that I control, and I'm underneath you, God, okay? And then what happens? Because he's the kind of heart he's got, the massive miracle happens in his family life. How does it work for us? How does it work for you? Are you the boss? Are you the go-to person? Are you too big for your boots? Because the problem with being too big for your boots is, God will deal with that at some point in the future. And it's not pretty, okay? A much better model is to stay meek. Stay of that teachable spirit, that gentle spirit, that humble spirit that says, yeah, I'm the boss. Like I run the business, I do the thing, but I'm not the boss. Like you're the boss, Lord. You speak into my life. You change me. You show me. You grow my character. So I'm drawing from you, and I'm leading my company. So I'm bringing some, and I'm learning from you at the same time. That's what it means to be meek in a business context. Take a second. Have you become a bit hard, a bit boss-like? And do you need to be more meek, more teachable, more humble? Have an excellent week. Register for the summit, kingdombusiness.com.au. If you'd like to come and you haven't registered yet, only a few more days before we'll close those off. And I'll see you next week. Bye for now.